Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vandermount Business Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Cano, a business performance coach here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And today, we're going to talk about clarifying your offering for your customers so that they feel more empowered, more educated, and more motivated to purchase what you have. Because when you learn to clarify your offering better, you empower your customers to make buying choices. Because people will not purchase if they feel confused. They will buy when they feel educated and empowered to do so. So we've talked about this in previous episodes. If your customers feel confused or uncertain, if they're not clear on exactly how your product or service, which is your offering, can help them, they're not going to buy. And many businesses lose out on sales every month because they're selling something that has huge potential to help their customers, but they're not communicating what it is and how it works in an effective way. So that's what we're going to talk about in this podcast series on clarifying your offering. We're taking a deeper look into how we can clearly communicate our offering in such a way that our customers will actually want to buy from us. And in this episode, we're going to ask the third question in our series. If you've been listening to the previous episodes, you know that we've been asking powerful questions to help us get powerful results. And today we're going to ask the third powerful question, which I call the purpose question. And the purpose question simply asks this: why does your offering matter so much? Why does your offering, which is your product or your service, matter so much to you or to your customers? So we're going to focus on the emotional power that people tap into when purchasing a product or service, because when people understand the purpose behind what it is that you do, it creates a strong emotional connection. People often make buying decisions based on how a product or service makes them feel. They want to feel better. They want a positive emotional experience from the product or service that they purchase, and that feeling drives a lot of their decisions. And by the way, guess who the best entrepreneurs are at creating an emotional experience? They are artists. Artists are excellent at this, from whether it's a painter or a photographer or a musician or a writer. They know how to inspire their patrons. So if you're ever curious about observing a business that does this really well, go follow a local artist in your area. They just knock this out of the park. It's like they understand the power of emotional connection, and that's why their clients purchase from them, because to them it's not just a product, it's just this emotional experience that they feel. And as entrepreneurs, we want to be able to do that as well. And we can do that by answering the purpose question, which is, why does your offering matter so much? Now, before we jump into this, please keep this fact in mind, okay? There is a huge difference between building an emotional connection with someone, building emotional rapport with them, and trying to manipulate them. There's a big difference between creating emotional connection and being emotionally manipulative. Manipulation is about trying to control how someone feels in order to get them to buy something they don't need, okay? Emotional rapport, on the other hand, is about helping someone unleash that positive emotion they already have and offering them something that they do want, something that will help them, okay? You're not forcing or tricking them. You're simply nurturing the emotion that already exists. So just keep that in mind. It's really important that we focus on building emotional rapport, and we want to stay away from manipulating our customers. So with that, let's move forward. And one of the best ways to answer the purpose question of why your product or service matters is by filling in the blanks to the following statements. Okay, if you can, I recommend writing these down or coming back to this part of the podcast to reflect on them, to answer them, because when you start answering these 4 statements, it's going to help you clarify the deep purpose behind why your product or service matters so much to your customers. So here we go. Because first statement is this: because my customers deserve ... Okay, because my customer deserves X. So think about your customer, think about what they truly deserve, right? Answer the statement, I do what I do because my customer deserves ... So what's coming to mind for you in this moment? What's surfacing to the top for you? Answer that statement. And then the second statement that you could use is this: because my customer should get to enjoy ... because my customers should get to enjoy X. So what's something your product or service can help provide that brings enjoyment to your customers? Give that some thought. Think that through. Complete the statement, because my customers should get to enjoy ... Now, the third statement to think about is this: because my customer shouldn't have to worry about ... Because my customer shouldn't have to worry about this or that. What's something your customer tends to stress out about? What's something they tend to worry about that weighs heavy on them, but when they use your product or service, that stress is lifted? So just fill in that blank. Ask yourself, what is it that they worry about, and fill in that blank, because my customer shouldn't have to worry about X. And then the fourth and final statement that you want to look at is this: because no one should have to struggle with ... No one should have to struggle with X. So what is something people, your customers specifically, commonly struggle with? And how does your offering help them solve that? So answer that, because no one should have to struggle with ... And when you go through this exercise, it's going to help you clarify the deeper purpose behind what your product or service does for people and why it matters. So let's take a quick example of this. Let's see how this plays out in a few different scenarios. And by the way, you don't have to answer all 4 statements. You could, if you're an overachiever, you could do that. But even if just one of them can help clarify your purpose, that's a win. And that's all you need, is just one. One will help you clarify why your product or service matters. So even if you just answer one of these statements, that's going to be a win for you. So let's look at some examples here. Let's say we're looking at a cleaning company, and they might say, our purpose matters because our customers deserve to have more time on the weekends to spend with their family making memories. That's why their cleaning service matters so much. See, can you feel how much more powerful that is? Can you feel that emotional rapport being built? Let's look at another example. For a landscaping company, let's say the reason that their service matters so much to their customers might be because their customers should get to enjoy rejuvenation and peace of mind simply by stepping out into their backyard and feeling relaxed. That's pretty powerful. That's a good response to that because statement. Let's look at another one. Let's say you're a realtor, and the reason your service matters so much to your customers might be because your customers shouldn't have to worry about whether they'll ever enjoy the American dream of owning their own home and raising a family in a place that belongs to them. Okay, that's pretty good. Or we'll do one more. If you're a dog sitting service, maybe the reason your service matters is because no one should have to struggle with the idea of leaving their furry family member alone and uncared for. That's pretty good. Because as dog owners, as pet owners, they're like family to us, right? We hate the idea of leaving them behind. So that's a really powerful purpose statement. So you can see we just walked through all 4 of these statements, and I'll repeat them again. So the first one is because my customer deserves X. The second one is because my customer should get to enjoy X. The third one is because my customers should not have to worry about this, right? And then the last and fourth one is because no one should ever have to struggle with this, all right? So if you go through this exercise and you start answering these statements, filling in the blanks, you're going to have a crystal clear picture of why your service truly matters to your customers. And again, when you clarify the purpose behind why your product or service matters, you start building emotional rapport with your customers. You create a deeper emotional connection because what you're really doing is helping them feel better about purchasing what you offer. Now, here's the catch, okay? And we've talked about this a little bit earlier, but the catch is that you want to avoid manipulating your customers. You're not trying to control their emotional state or get them to purchase something that they don't need. Instead, here's what you're trying to do, okay? You're simply creating space where if the end result of what you do genuinely connects with the customer, that emotional rapport is going to happen naturally, okay? You won't have to force it. You won't have to push it. The customer is going to recognize the positive outcome of using your service, and they'll want to purchase it on their own. They'll feel that emotional state of mind without you having to force it. Also, this goes without saying, but make sure that your why is legitimate. Don't overdo it. Don't exaggerate it. exaggerate it. Make sure the reasons you give are actually relatable and realistic to your customers. Okay? So that's the power and the importance of clarifying the purpose of your offering, because when you do, it builds emotional rapport and it helps your customers feel more motivated to purchase what it is that you do. Taking the time to go through all these exercises we've been talking about, on this podcast to really clarify your offering, sometimes it can feel like a waste of time. It can feel like we're not focusing on the areas of our business that seem to matter the most. And maybe some of you guys are thinking, man, shouldn't I be focusing on marketing more? Shouldn't I be focusing on selling? Shouldn't I be getting in front of more people instead of sitting here thinking about my messaging? But I want to remind you of something. This is really important. Okay. If you get anything out of this podcast, I hope you get this. Clarifying your offering so that it actually makes sense to your customers is probably one of the most important things you can do for your business. In fact, I would argue that it may be more important than sales, than crafting yourselves and crafting your marketing, than spending all this energy and time on your marketing. And here's why. Because if you don't know how to communicate what you offer in a way that's clear and compelling, none of the rest is going to matter. And here's why. Because if you clarify your offering, you're going to build this bedrock of messaging and copy that you need in order to infuse your marketing campaigns or create better sales conversations and explain your business in a way that people actually understand. A lot of businesses make this mistake. They jump straight into marketing and creating sales tactics. They launch these ads, they build their websites, they run social media campaigns, but they've never stopped to clarify what it is about their offering and why it actually matters. They never stop to ask, why does this offering matter to my customer? Why does it work for them? What does the customer need to do to purchase it? And when you skip over all of that, your marketing campaigns, your sales conversations don't have that solid foundation. I'll share a story. I used to work at a pretty large, successful marketing company. I say it was large and successful because we made about $23 million a year. Now, for some companies, maybe that's not a lot, but for me, hey, that was a lot. Coming from a background where my wife and I had a cleaning business where we brought in about $50,000 a year, $23 million a year was a lot for me. So, I had worked with these businesses, and one of the most common mistakes our clients would make, they'd come to us to run these marketing campaigns, but they would have these huge budgets, and some would spend $5,000 or $10,000, or some of them would even spend double that, all on these massive marketing campaigns trying to reach more people and get more visibility and grow their brand, but they never took the time to really clarify what they were offering. They never went through the work of identifying why their product or service mattered or how it actually helped the customer. And they thought that if they could just spend tens of thousands of dollars on a marketing campaign, then the money and the customers would automatically follow. And honestly, that's one of the things that pushed me toward business coaching, because I realized I didn't just want to help people build marketing campaigns. I wanted to help them understand the principles of what actually makes a business work and help them apply those principles to their business. And these are the deeper business principles that we talk about here on the Vandermount podcast. Things like clarifying your your communication, your purpose, your strategy for your business. Because the truth is, a great marketing campaign can't save a poorly explained product. That was really good. Let me say that again. A great marketing campaign, as far as lots of money, lots of spending dollars, can't save a product that is not clarified well. Okay? If you don't know what you're selling or why it matters, no amount of exposure is going to make it work. And the hard part about that is you have these businesses out there, they're spending a ton of money. They think they can take shortcuts by, spending all their money on advertising and reaching more people, but it's not going to work. And for me, the hard part about that, the annoying part, is I couldn't force those business owners to take the steps that we're talking about right now. I couldn't make them clarify their offering. I could encourage them. I could try to coach them where I could and present the idea of doing the groundwork. But at the end of the day, they were the business owners. They were the ones who had to take ownership of the process. And by the way, the ones that did clarify their offering, the one that did take the time to really answer these questions and define the purpose and the process and everything that we talk about in this series of clarifying your offering, they were majorly successful. All right. So that's what I want to encourage you with right now. You have to own your business. You have to own the amount of work and time and effort that you're going to put into growing it. No other marketing agency, no other sales firm, no financial advisor, not even your business coach, not even me can do that for you, okay? It's like, a football coach. They can, coach you on the plays and the practices and push you, but at the end of the day, they can't do the push-ups for you. So you've got to take ownership of that. My role as a business performance coach is to help you recognize the areas that need your attention and to challenge you to prioritize what matters and help you find the motivation and direction to invest your energy where it really counts. Because I can't do the work for you. You've got to take ownership of that, okay? So I really want to challenge you. Go through this exercise that we've talked about in this podcast series. Go back to those 4 purpose statements that we covered and actually take the time to answer them. Write them out. Sit with them. Ask yourself, why does my product or service matter so much? And as you answer that, something powerful is going to happen. Your entire marketing strategy is going to start to click into place. You're going to start speaking your customer's language. You're going to stop sounding vague or generic. And your sales conversations will become more focused, and they're going to sound more authentic, and you'll actually start attracting the right kind of customer and building that emotional rapport, because when your messaging is clear, your marketing becomes effective. And when your offering is compelling, your sales conversations become more natural and more influential. So I hope this episode was helpful to you. If you have any questions about how to clarify your offering, or you want to know how this process can specifically help your business grow, let us know. We're always excited to hear from our listeners and support them in their business journey. And hey, if you're ever in Colorado Springs and you'd like to grab coffee and just chat about your business, I'd love to meet you. We also have our business breakfast. If you're local here in Colorado Springs, we meet every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. We'd love to see you there. It's a great opportunity for you to connect with other entrepreneurs and learn some of these principles that we talk about on the podcast. But definitely reach out. If you're here in Springs, reach out. Let's grab coffee. It doesn't cost anything to have that conversation. Well, it might cost a couple of dollars for the coffee, but the conversation is free. We'd love to learn more about what you're building and explore ways that we can help it grow. So thank you again for tuning into this episode. Stay tuned for future podcast episodes as we continue answering the key questions. They're going to help you clarify your offering and connect more powerfully with your customers. And until then, keep going. You've got this. We believe in you. Have a great week.